Typically, I dive headfirst into things and just hit the ground running. This time, I've decided to do something a little bit different with building a CFT worm bin to help grow my worm farm. I'm doing it nice and early in the morning because it's gonna get hot out and it's still nice and overcast before the sun has really broken the horizon. So I'm gonna go ahead and get to work to get this done. Originally, this was my chicken grow out area, so I had a bunch of baby chicks that I had hatched, and I wanted to keep them somewhere that I could easily get to them without having to worry about the big chickens picking on them or anything like that. So I actually had them in here. Once I was done with it, I just kind of set it off to the side because it did have a bottom. Later on, I ended up putting 2 ramps on it, and I used it as my black soldier fly bin, and I had 2 holes on the side that drop down into buckets, so the pupating black soldier fly larvae could crawl up the ramps, they would fall down the chutes, and I was able to collect them. And it worked well until a mouse figured out how to get up the tube, maybe a rat, and just started going to town on all the black soldier fly larvae. So I had to get rid of that because it wasn't working. I was losing so many fly larvae and they weren't getting fed to the chicken, and it was becoming a hassle. Just kind of left it, set it off to the side, and then when I decided to build a continuous flow through system, I removed the bottom and then drilled 1/2-inch holes all throughout the bottom framing, and then I took rebar and cut rebar into 24-inch pieces, and then we drove those through, and they fit really snugly. It was really like you had to actually hammer them through in order to get them to go in. So I know those rebar slats aren't going to move, and now I don't have to worry about while I'm raking it, trying to get castings out of the bottom. I don't have to worry that it's going to pull like the pipe out, or the pipe is going to move, or whatever. I know it's securely in there because it took some effort to drive those into the bottom framing. Now, I did forget when I brought this over here to take plastic sheeting and line the inside, but I did forget to take plastic sheeting and line the inside to stop the worms from being in contact with the wood and the wood rotting. But this is really just a practice to make sure the worm bin works well, see if there's any issues that I can fix before I build a bigger system that will be my permanent system, because I do actually want to build this out of metal, and I also want to attach a motor in order to pull the winch along the bottom. That way I don't have to worry about trying to scrape out castings from the bottom. The blade will just do it for me. So this is really just a test one. So I figured about a year or so before I would have really good results and decide to build a bigger one. I already know I'm most likely going to have to put another leg or brace in the middle because this is a lot of weight. And I'm also going to put one across the top, because when I did build this frame, I just ripped 2x4s down into 2x2 and then just framed it up like that. That way it was easy to attach the plywood to it. And that was when all it was holding was chickens, and this actually used to sit on the ground, and I didn't have to worry about like legs holding up all this weight. It was just wood shavings and little baby chicks. So there was no real weight, and there's not a lot of structural strength to this, but I'm gonna go ahead and add some 2x4s to support the center, and then also to keep the top tight. That way it doesn't bow out over time. What I'm using in this worm bin is some really nice finished compost that I've had sitting around for a while. It was really nice compost because it was really nice compost. It's really good quality compost because it's a bunch of alfalfa pellets and wood pellets. I was out at Tractor Supply and I was talking to the general manager, and he told me about how they had a pallet that was outside that got rained on, and he didn't want to sell it because the top had gotten wet. So I made a deal with him and I took it all. So I had a pallet of alfalfa pellets and some wood pellets. So I just mixed those up and composted those, and they composted down just beautifully into this really nice compost. So I've had that, and I hot composted it for a few months, and then I let it sit, and now it's really cooled down. So I think it's right around 85, and that's pretty close to our ambient temperature. And that's pretty close to our day temperatures right now in summer. So I know it's not really cooking anymore. It's just holding on to the radiant heat from the sunlight during the day. So that's what I'm using for my worms, and I know my worms love it because in some of those 17-liter totes that I have where I'm breeding the worms, I've filled a couple of those with this stuff, and they've absolutely just gone through it really fast and turned it into beautiful castings and started producing lots of eggs. So I know they like this compost. I know they like this compost, which is great because hopefully they do go through this fast and I can start harvesting maybe in 3 months or so, but I'm assuming it's probably going to be closer to 6 because we're in the middle of summer, the days are going to get shorter, and I think things will just kind of slow down in the next few months. So to be safe, I will be letting this sit for a couple of days before I add the worms. That way, if there is any heat buildup from either adding water or turning this, it will dissipate out. But I've turned this pile and I've been watering it just to check it, and it really hasn't been getting warm, so I'm not worried that this is going to heat up. But I want to be safe, that way I give my worms the best environment. That way I don't have to worry about killing a couple pounds worth of worms at one time. We'll see what happens though, so if you want to see, hit subscribe, and then that way you can follow along and see the update videos on how this bin's going. And if you're interested in a continuous flow through system, I'm assuming within the next few months I will be building a bigger one that's more industrial, and that way you can build your own continuous flow through worm bin if you're interested in that. So if you like this, do me a favor and hit the like button, and if you want to see me build another one of these, hit the subscribe button. That way you can see when I build another one later on. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.